Hello, for this chapter Excel 2021 we are going to have a look at creating a chart, enhancing a chart, modifying chart data, changing chart types, drawing shapes, inserting pictures, creating smart art in Microsoft Excel. Let's proceed.
Charts and graphics can give new meaning to your data and add a professional touch to your worksheets. In this chapter, you will work with Excel's tools to add a chart, shape, picture, and smart art to a worksheet. A chart in Excel provides a graphical representation of the rows and columns of numbers in a worksheet. Charts are created from existing data. When you change the data in the worksheet, the chart is automatically updated. Once you create a chart, you can modify and format it in a variety of ways. You're going to create a chart using data from the Budget Workbook. For your convenience, the Monthly Sales Worksheet has been added. This worksheet breaks down the yearly sales income figures into monthly sales. Let's take a look. The first step is to select all the data that will be represented in the chart. You can always change this selection later. In this example, let's include all 3 years of sales data, including the 2024 projected data. The column and row labels need to be included in the selection, as they will be used as labels on the chart. The totals on row 17 are not included. The next step is to use the Chart tools to create the chart. The Insert tab contains tools to insert charts and other graphic objects into your worksheet. Let's take a look. The Charts group contains buttons that begin the process of creating a chart based on the data you have selected. From this group, you select the type of chart to create. The best chart type depends on the data you want to represent. Take a moment to read the screen tip for each chart type. The column chart type is effective for comparing sets of data, like this worksheet. Let's use this chart type. This menu enables you to select a specific subtype of the column type. You can change the chart subtype later if you want. Let's use the first option in the 2D column section. This is the clustered column subtype, and it uses two-dimensional rectangles to display data. Excel has inserted the chart in the center of the worksheet. Let's move it to the top of the worksheet so that both the data and the chart are visible at the same time. Good. After you create a chart, the Chart Tools tabs on the ribbon are automatically displayed. These tools enable you to modify and format the chart in a variety of ways. Before working with these tabs, let's take a closer look at the chart. The columns in the chart represent the data series that you selected. A data series is a group of related values. Each data series is represented by the same color or pattern in the chart. For example, each 2022 amount is represented by a dark blue bar. Each data point or column represents one number from the worksheet. In this example, the data series are taken from columns B, C, and D in the worksheet. The category labels on the horizontal axis of this chart are taken from the data in the rows in the worksheet. When you create a chart, Excel automatically checks the orientation of the data and decides which row and which column contain the category labels and data series names. In this example, each row in the worksheet selection corresponds to 1 month in the chart. Now, take a moment to learn more about the other areas of the chart. Now let's work with some of the chart tools to enhance the chart. The Design tab, which is currently displayed, lets you change the overall look of the chart. For example, the Chart Styles group contains a gallery of different styles you can apply. Let's apply a different style to the chart. Clicking the More button in the lower right corner of the Chart Styles group displays all of the available options. Good. The new chart style has been applied. In addition to changing the overall look of the chart, you can format and modify individual parts of the chart. Each group on the Layout tab offers tools to add and modify components of the chart. For example, the Labels group lets you add text labels to various areas of the chart. Let's add a title right above the chart. Now you can type the title text. Notice that as you type, the title appears in the formula bar. After you press Enter, it will appear in the placeholder. In addition to adding a chart title, you can add titles to the horizontal and vertical axes of the chart. The axes already contain labels identifying the data, but you can add a more general title to each axis. Let's add a vertical axis title indicating that the values represent sales. Now you can type the title text. The chart area has been slightly reduced in size to accommodate the new label. You can resize the entire chart by dragging any of its borders. Try increasing the width of the entire chart by stretching the right border. Good. Now let's work with some of the tools on the Format tab. The Format tab lets you apply different colors and styles to specific elements in the chart. The Current Selection group enables you to select a chart element. Any formatting you select will be applied only to that element. Let's add some color to the plot area of the chart, which is the background that appears behind the data series. First, select that element using the Chart Elements list in the Current Selection group. Right now, the chart area item is selected. Excel is displaying a border around the plot area. Now you can use the tools in the other groups on this tab to format the plot area. The Format Selection button in the Current Selection group opens a dialog box that offers all formatting options for the plot area. Each category on the left side of the Format Plot Area dialog box enables you to apply different formats. The Fill category is used to apply color to the background. You can use a solid color, a gradient, or even insert a picture. Let's see what a solid background looks like. The chart now displays a preview of the background, and the pane contains options for fine-tuning the solid background. Good! The style, labels, and colors you have applied to the chart make it easy to read. Keep in mind that you can also modify any part of the chart by right-clicking the component and using its shortcut menu. Now return to the Design tab. After you create a chart, some of the data in the worksheet might change or may no longer be necessary. Whenever you change the data in your worksheet, Excel automatically updates the chart. For example, suppose the projected sales for December 2022 jumps to $40,000. Let's see how the last column in the chart is affected after you make this change. The last column has been increased accordingly. Notice that the Chart Tools tabs are no longer displayed. When you selected a worksheet cell, the chart was deselected. To redisplay the Chart Tools tabs, you select the chart by clicking it. Then you need to select a tab to work with. In addition to modifying data in the worksheet, you can add or remove data that is displayed in the chart. When you first created the chart, you selected all of the numbers in the worksheet to be displayed. You can modify this selection using the Select Data button in the Data group. Let's remove the display of the 2022 figures, since those numbers just represent projections. Excel has placed a border around the data that is currently represented by the chart. You can modify this selection by dragging the mouse and selecting a different range. You can also add and remove data series and categories using the Select Data Source dialog box. Recall that in this chart, the data series consist of the years and the categories consist of the months. Now, remove the 2024 data series. Now, just the data for 2022 and 2023 are displayed in the chart.
When you created the chart, Excel assumed that you wanted to compare each year's data within the same month. So it used the worksheet columns for the data series and used the worksheet rows for the categories. You can reverse this orientation so that the months are grouped together by year. In other words, the months will become the data series and the years will become the categories. The Switch Row Column button enables you to reverse this orientation.
Good. The legend helps describe this new orientation. Note that the values on the vertical axis do not change, as they represent the actual numbers in the worksheet.
Now switch back to the original orientation. This chart uses the column chart type, which is helpful for comparing sets of data. You can quickly change the chart type using the Change Chart Type button in the Type group. Let's experiment with some other chart types. As you can see, the pie chart type displays only 1 year of sales data. You want the chart to visually represent the current sales trends in comparison to past performance. It is important to choose a chart type that will correctly represent your data. You can also change chart types using the shortcut menu for the chart area or plot area. Let's use the shortcut menu to switch back to the column chart, where both years of data are represented. Use the default column chart type. Good. As you work with charts, you will find that the data in your worksheet will determine the best chart type to use. For your convenience, the Income and Expenses worksheet will be displayed and the Insert tab selected.
Excel enables you to add a variety of graphics to your worksheet. In addition to inserting your own pictures, you can add built-in shapes and diagrams provided by Excel. The Illustrations group on the Insert tab contains buttons to add different types of graphics.
Let's add a built-in shape to this worksheet. Here you see all of the shapes offered by Excel, grouped into categories. Once you insert a shape, you can customize it. Let's add a horizontal banner from the Stars and Banners category. Notice that the mouse pointer changes to a crosshair when it is positioned in the worksheet area. This indicates that you can either click a cell or drag the mouse pointer to insert the shape. Clicking a cell inserts the shape using the default size. Dragging the mouse pointer lets you determine the height and width of the banner. Great! Notice that the Format tab of the Drawing Tools is now displayed. You can use these tools to modify the style, colors, line type, and other elements of the shape. You can also resize the shape by dragging the circular handles surrounding the shape. The Shape Styles group lets you apply a different set of formats to the shape. The current default style color is too dark, so let's try another one. You can add text to a selected shape by just typing in the shape. Let's use the banner to point the reader to the monthly sales worksheet. After entering the text, deselect the shape by clicking outside the shape borders.
Good! The Drawing Tools tab is no longer displayed because the shape is not selected. To modify the shape later, just click anywhere on the shape. Once it is selected, you can also move the shape by dragging a border or delete it by pressing the Delete key. For your convenience, the Blank Sheet 2 worksheet will be displayed and the Insert tab selected. In addition to creating shapes, you can insert your own pictures into a worksheet. Clicking the Pictures button in the Illustrations group lets you browse your computer and select an existing picture. Let's take a look.
By default, the contents of the picture folder are displayed. Let's insert the Organically Sewn logo. Excel inserted the picture closest to the selected cell, which was cell A1. The Format tab of the Picture Tools is now displayed so that you can modify and format the picture. For example, you can add special effects and borders, as well as crop and resize the picture. You can move the picture by dragging a border or by using the arrow keys on your keyboard. Let's move the picture down and to the right a bit. To resize the picture, you can drag a corner border with the mouse, or enter a specific width and height using the text boxes in the Size group. The Format Picture pane offers additional sizing options. Let's take a look. Here you can resize, rotate, and scale an object. The original dimensions of the graphic are displayed at the bottom of the Format Picture pane. Let's decrease the size of the logo so that it is 75% of its original size. If the Lock Aspect Ratio checkbox is selected when you press the Tab key, the width will automatically change to match the height and keep its proportions. If you deselect this option, you can change each option separately, but this can create unpredictable results. When you have finished making formatting changes, deselect the picture to view your changes. The picture looks good. To redisplay the Picture Tools tab and work with the picture later, you just select the picture. Excel's Smart Art feature lets you insert pre-formatted diagrams, which you can customize with your own text. Diagrams are helpful to describe a process, cycle, or hierarchy in a worksheet. Let's look at the Smart Art options. The Choose a Smart Art graphic dialog box consists of categories which are listed on the left side. Each category contains a variety of pre-formatted diagrams. Let's create a diagram that shows the farming cycle from planting to harvest. To do this, select a graphic from the Cycle category. Excel has inserted the generic cycle diagram as well as the text pane. You can customize the text in the diagram by typing it in the text pane or by typing it directly in the graphic. Notice also that the SmartArt Tools tabs are now displayed on the ribbon. Let's use the text pane to enter the text for the top of the cycle. The insertion point is already located in the first text box, so you can begin typing. Good! For your convenience, the remaining text items will be entered. Once you add a diagram, you can modify many of its properties using the SmartArt Tools tabs. In general, the Design tab lets you manipulate the entire graphic, and the Format tab enables you to work with specific components of the graphic. You can also resize the graphic by dragging the handles on the border. To customize the text font within the diagram, you can select it and use the mini toolbar. The Change Colors button offers groups of different colors that can be applied to the entire diagram. Let's change the colors in the diagram and then deselect it. Good! The diagram gives a nice representation of the farming cycle. Now save the workbook. In this chapter, you created a chart from data in your worksheet and then enhanced and modified the chart. You also inserted one of Excel's pre-formatted banner shapes and inserted a picture from a file. Finally, you created a customized diagram using Excel's SmartArt feature.